What is up, ninjas? Today we are going to go over the absolute best travel hacks for booking the cheapest possible flights. And no, I'm not talking about Kayak. No, I'm not talking about Expedia. I'm talking about where you can get 50% off flights to anywhere in the world. And we are going to discuss exactly how to travel the world for free, utilizing credit card bonuses, and exactly how you can start even if you're a complete beginner. What is up, ninjas? Welcome to the How to Travel the World for Free Like a Ninja video. Today we're going to talk about how exactly to use credit card points to get free flights and free stuff and basically be able to travel the world in the cheapest, most efficient possible way, and how to utilize credit card bonuses and some hacks that I've picked up over the years having traveled to, for the last 5 years to 50 plus countries. And so as we can see here, this is just one of my rewards accounts. I have, almost 1.2 million points, and for about 60 to 80,000 points, you can get anywhere in the world, like literally anywhere in the world, round trip, completely for free. So, I have 10 or 12 of those trips saved up, and these points just continue to build after you kind of create the infrastructure that you need, with your business, with your daily life, just spending normal money, kind of doing things in the smartest possible way. So let's talk about exactly how to do this. And just as a little disclaimer, I know there's going to be people in the comments that say, what about this and that and American Express and Citi? This video is going to be the summation of all of the data and research that I've done over the past 5 years. These are the methods that I've found to be the most efficient, most valuable use of your time and energy when it comes to credit card points. Yes, there are other programs out there, but these are the best that I've found, and I'd love to hear people's thoughts in the comments if you have, suggestions or things that I might not be talking about. But if you have no idea about credit cards and you have no idea, but you do want to travel for free and you do want to make the most of all of these incredible rewards, then this is the #1 way that you do it. So first of all, let's talk about what are points and miles worth. So there's like a million different, point systems. I'm not going to go through all of these, but we see that the point value, and this is value per in cents. So one credit card point equals 0.9 cents. And so what we see here and what we're going to focus on is Chase Ultimate Rewards. So this is 2.1 cents per point, is the most valuable and more importantly, most usable point denomination and currency available anywhere in the world that I've ever found. And so that is what we're going to focus on. If you only focus on Chase, you are going to be able to book more stuff and you're going to be able to make your points go farther than any other currency that I've ever found, specifically in the context that you're able to get these huge bonuses just for spending money that you'd otherwise spend, which we're going to talk about in 1 second. So first, let's talk about the only 4 cards that you need to be concerned with as a new credit card user or churner or whatever you want to call yourself, right? And so the first one we're going to talk about is called the Chase Sapphire Preferred. So this is one of the original cards that I got when I was just a young little Padawan. And so what this is it gives you 50,000 points, and this is basically just a bonus. It gives it to you for free. They just get deposited in your account, that simple. If you spend $4,000 on purchases after the 3 months from opening the account. And this can be $4,000 on McDonald's. It can be $4,000 on, whatever you want. Like if you needed to buy a new TV or couch, or you want to put $4,000 on your credit card for a car you're purchasing, right? I've done that in the past where I've maxed out my credit cards when I'm buying cars just so I can get the points for it, because there's literally no reason on earth why you wouldn't. It's literally just free money. And so you might be saying to yourself, oh, Kevin, well, how do I spend $4,000 in 3 months? Well, we are going to talk about that too, because it is your boy, and all of these videos are going to be completely comprehensive on how to be a complete ninja in every aspect of life. But for now, we're not going to talk about that yet, but we will talk about how to spend $4,000 and get these bonuses, even if you don't have things that you necessarily want to buy. And so, all of these cards have a ton of perks. I'm not going to go through all of them, right? There's no foreign transaction fees for some of them. You can just do a simple Google search with the title. We're just going to talk about the 4 cards that you need to be concerned with if you, have never heard of a credit card before in your entire life, right? And so these mainly work for people in the USA. You'll have to kind of do your own research if you're outside the USA. I know that, Canadians and some other countries really struggle when it comes to credit card rewards. And so if you are in the USA, then, you're lucky, and be grateful grateful. If you're outside of the USA, this video might not be as applicable to you as far as getting points, but the end of the video will be very applicable to you because I'm going to talk about the 3 best websites. Even if you don't have credit cards, even if you don't have points, these are the websites that get you the cheapest flights, guaranteed. You don't have to check anywhere else. You don't have to check Kayak. You don't have to check Google. You don't have to check anything. Literally, there's 3 websites that do all of the hard work for you and find you the hack fares that are literally half as expensive as, you know, these really big sites that people have a lot of faith in. There are websites where you can get the exact same flights for cheaper, and I'm going to teach you exactly how to do that. But first, let's talk about the next card. So the Chase Sapphire Preferred is one that I definitely recommend. Get these bonuses, guys. There's no easier way in the world to get credit card points and to travel the world for free than to take advantage of these bonuses. It's just free money. I can't phrase it any other way. It's free money. And so the next one we're going to talk about is the Chase Sapphire Reserve. And if you go to Credit Karma, if you're saying to yourself, you know, I have a 600 credit score or like a 550 or a 720 or whatever it is, if you have above a 700 and you've applied for less than 5 credit cards in 24 months, right? It's called the 524 rule, and no Chase person will ever admit this. It's like this secret Illuminati-esque rule that no one will actually admit, but I've guaranteed, proven is true. If you've applied for more than 5 credit cards in the last 24 months, you will get denied for these, you know, super cards that I like to call super cards. These cards that will give you huge bonuses literally for nothing. So they'll give you $750 for free, and you can use this on, you know, going out to eat. You can use this on anything you want, entertainment, concert tickets. It does not matter. You just literally have to spend $4,000 in the first 3 months. And not to mention you get these 50,000 points, you also get the points on that 4,000. So you get an additional 4,000 points, right? So it adds up really quickly. And so the Chase Sapphire Reserve, I'm not going to go through all of the benefits, but you know, this one is really, really unique. You get a $300 annual travel credit, meaning that they'll just give you $300 credited to your statement. Easiest thing in the world if you travel every year. And so, you know, it's just ridiculously valuable. And so the next one that I want to talk about is probably the most important if you are in the e-commerce world or you're an entrepreneur. So the Inc. Business Preferred Credit Card is the best card you can possibly get in the world if you want free money and you want to travel the world for free. And so I'm going to say this one more time because I think it's incredibly important. The Inc. Business Preferred Credit Card from Chase is the best credit card in the world if you want free money and you want to travel the world for free. And so those are big, bold statements. But guys, I've done a ton of research. I'm not just coming out and just spitting BS out of my, you know, mouth. This is stuff that I've looked into very deeply. I have friends who run, you know, churning companies and the Points Guy and Million Mile Secrets and all these, you know, big travel blogs. And we go through this stuff. And, you know, this is the research that I've done and what I've found. And I'm going to tell you exactly why. So so generally you get 1 point per dollar spent, but the Inc. Business Preferred, and so if you advertise on Facebook, if you have PPC expense on Amazon, if you have advertising expenses for Facebook or you know, any type, Snapchat, Google, any of them, you get 3 points per dollar on the first 150,000 spent in combined purchases on traveling, shipping purchases, internet, cable, phone services, and most importantly, advertising purchases made on social media sites within an anniversary year. So you can get immediately, if you have a larger business, right? We spend way more than $150,000 a year on advertising for Amazon, even Amazon alone. Not to mention, you know, a ton on Facebook and a ton on Google. And so that's immediately 450,000 points just from money you'd already be spending. And like I said before, for 60 to 80,000, you can get anywhere in the world completely for free round trip. So if you make 450,000 points completely for free every single year, just from this one card, right? That's like what, 5 trips around the entire world completely for free every year, or 6 or even 7 depending on where you're going. And so, you know, it just adds up so quickly, guys. And not to mention that, so 450,000 every year, you also get 80,000 bonus points just for joining it. And I have no affiliation with this. Obviously, I wish I owned Chase, but I don't. I'm just telling you what I've learned over the past few years and how I travel the entire world, and I've been to 50 plus countries for the last 5 years completely for free. And so this is the most important card that you can possibly get. And so if you're only going to get one, do this one. For once I hit this 150,000, which I do generally in the first like couple months of the year, then I switch over to this card and I charge everything in my entire life to this card. You know, I have like a I don't even know, like $100,000 or $200,000 limit on this card. We charge probably $10,000 to $20,000 a day to just this card every single day for advertising, for PPC, for all these different expenses, because I charge it because I want this card to specifically earn me the biggest reward. Because every other one of these cards, even though they're the best cards in the world, they still only get you 1 point per dollar, 1 point per dollar, 1 point per dollar after the 150,000. And so this card is very unique because it gives you 1.5% cash back. So it gives you 1.5 points per dollar spent for everything. Literally, there's no restrictions, there's no blackouts, there's nothing. It's 1.5% for everything. So after I spend that 150,000, I use this card for everything else that I do in my entire life. I haven't taken cash out of an ATM since I was a toddler. And so that is what I wanted to talk about there. So if you said to yourself, you know, Kevin, I can't spend $4,000 in the first few months, right? Because let's see what this one is. After you spend $5,000 on purchases in the first 3 months. So let's say you don't have anything to spend money on. You don't, but you want to get this card and you want to get the bonus. There's ways to do that too. So let's talk about what they are. So you can use a website called giftcards.com. You create an account and you buy $500 Visa gift cards from the website once you create an account. So even when I had $0 in my bank account, $0 to my name, I still did this to, first of all, build credit, and second of all, take advantage of all these credit card rewards that allow me to have completely free money and travel the world for free. So I would buy $500 gift cards, and I would do that until I, until I met the requirement to spend $5,000 in 3 months. It's actually way easier than you think to spend $5,000 in 3 months. You can pay your mortgage with a credit card using websites. Of course it costs fees, but it's worth it if you're responsible, obviously. And so the best way to do it really is to just buy Visa gift cards, and then you can either use the Visa gift cards because they're basically as good as cash, or if you want to actually get the money back from these Visa gift cards back into your bank account, there's a really interesting hack that we actually have used a lot. Or when I was younger, we used this a lot to basically buy Visa gift cards and then convert those gift cards back into cash in our account. And then we paid off our rewards credit card statement bills with that cash from our bank account. And so that is a really interesting hack. It's a little bit more complicated. If you guys are interested, I can totally make a video on that too. Leave a comment in the description if you want to know exactly how to get these $80,000 bonuses, or excuse me, 80,000 point bonuses. $80,000 would be nice, completely for free, even if you don't have anything to spend $5,000 on in the first month. So that's how you do it. Buy Visa gift cards. You can convert it back into cash with a little bit more complicated of a method that I'm happy to talk about. Leave a note, leave a like too, and hit the subscribe button. Yeah, I'm putting out all this content for you guys completely for free. You might as well hit that subscribe button. Let's do LAX to Sydney. So now we see this actually brings up a ton of really valuable information. It shows us what the rewards miles are in. So if I want to say, okay, I have to go from Los Angeles to Sydney, what is the best credit card miles to use and how much does it cost, right? And so what I always use is United. Chase points, like we just talked about, transfer directly to United. And so this would have, a non-stop flight, LAX to Sydney, for $40K, which is ridiculous. Like I said, you can go anywhere in the entire world for 80,000 points. And just this one card alone gives you the 450,000, which is the 150,000 times 3 points per dollar, plus the 80. So 450 plus 80 is 530,000 points per year. And if you divide that by 8, right, then that is literally a ton of free trips around the entire world. And so Award Hacker is how I figure out which point currency to use. But just as, from experience, and if you guys trust me, Chase Ultimate Rewards is by far the most usable, most valuable currency, which is why we're focusing the entire video on it. So if you're saying to me, okay, how do I actually book this? So let's actually literally go into my account. So we see here that if we're looking at LAX to Sydney, we're just going to choose January 24th. Today is the 9th. So if we choose January 24th, we see that the cheapest flight here is $830, and this is from Los Angeles to Sydney. So if we look instead in points, and all we have to do is go to united.com and click this search for award travel. We're going to do LAX to Sydney on January 24th, same exact flight. So this one was $830. Now we're going to see that this is going to be, hopefully, if I'm right, a 40,000 point one-way trip, and probably like $100 in taxes and gas and fees and things like that. So yeah, so we see January 24th here. 40,000 plus, okay, I was close, $105 in taxes and fees and things like that. So it saves you, $725, and all it costs you is points, which you're getting completely for free if you use the methods that I'm talking about. So United is incredible. It's the #1 way to travel internationally or for, cross-country trips in the USA. Completely for free, and you can transfer Chase points from your Chase account into United as easy as 1, 2, 3. All right, y'all, let's get into Southwest, which is probably the best way to use Chase Ultimate Rewards points, which if you follow these strategies we've talked about, you're gonna have a ton of if you don't already, coming soon. This is the best way to travel inside of the United States, right? And we're gonna have some honorable mentions that we'll do really quickly before we get to how to book the cheapest flights, in general, always, even without using points. We're gonna talk about that at the end. But for right now, let's talk about how to book flights with Southwest. And so we're going to go to Los Angeles to Las Vegas. We're going to use the 24th of January just as an example. It can be any time. Show fares in points. We click here, and then we're going to go to search. And so I wouldn't expect this to be a bunch of points, but again, with 80,000 points as a bonus, completely for free, right? And so we see that these are literally 2,000 points. So we could make this trip 40 times, literally 40 times, completely for free, if we only get just this one card, only the bonus, right? So once we start spending, we get hundreds of thousands of more points, but just the completely free bonus for hitting this payment threshold in the first 3 months, we could make this particular flight 40 times. And so it just adds up so quickly, guys, because everyone likes to travel, everyone likes to go on vacation. You can do it so much more often, even just for a weekend or whatever it is, if you use points, because all you're paying out of pocket for this flight is $5.60. And one of the coolest things about Southwest is something that I found, right? So if you want to cancel a flight booked with points, when is the latest I can cancel a reservation made with points? Most airlines, right, you have 24 hours to cancel your reservation from the moment of making it. Southwest, which is crazy, allows you to cancel all the way up to 10 minutes before the flight and it give you a full refund if you book via points, which means I could book today on January 9th a flight for the January 31st, and I could cancel it on January 31st 11 minutes before my flight departs, and I would get a full refund if I booked it with points. And that is just absolutely crazy, but it's one of the coolest things that I found, and I'm sharing with you guys all of my hacks. So let's go over honorable mentions really quick. So I'm not a huge hotel guy. I love hostels more. And people always ask me, why do you fucking not stay in hotels when you have millions of dollars? I just prefer hostels. I prefer meeting people when I'm traveling. But if you like hotels, the best way to do hotels with Chase Ultimate Rewards points is what's called World of Hyatt. It's one of the partners. It's very easy. If you need help figuring out how to spend or transfer Chase Ultimate Rewards points to travel partners, it's literally 2 clicks of a button from your Chase dashboard. Just Google it. It's extremely easy. So if we want to stay at a hotel, Chase has some absolutely ridiculous deals on how to use Hyatt with Chase points. Let's go over a super quick example of this because I'm not going to go too in depth on hotels since I don't use them that often. But if you want to use Chase Ultimate Rewards points, which are the most valuable points, which is why we're talking about all of this, you can transfer them to Hyatt. And just one example, right? So they use 30,000 Chase points transferred to Hyatt via their travel partners, which is super easy in your Chase account dashboard, and $375 for 3 nights at a 5-star hotel in Dubai, which would have cost $1,600, right? So they only paid $375 out of pocket, and it would have cost, almost $1,600, right? So they're immediately saving, $1,200 just by spending these 30,000 Chase points, which equates to 4 cents per point, which is double what points are usually worth elsewhere, the Chase points. And the Chase points, by the way, are the most valuable point anywhere, so they're worth the most already. And so the last honorable mention is Avios. So if you get the Chase British Airways card, you get Avios points. And Avios points are much harder to use. They have a lot more blackout dates, but if you are patient and you're willing to book trips in advance, it's by far the best way to get to Hawaii from the West Coast available anywhere. You can get round trip tickets for 25,000 points to Hawaii from pretty much anywhere on the West Coast. And so that's just an honorable mention. We're not going to go too in depth on that one, but that is just an honorable mention. So something that I want to touch on really quickly is, you know, these amazing credit cards that give you so much value, right? This is worth so much more to me than just 80,000 obscure points. They do have annual fees. What I'm gonna say, because I know people are in the comments are gonna be like, Kevin, but these cards have annual fees. How can I afford that? Yeah. So when I used to be extremely poor, not, you know, particularly long ago, what I would do, and I'm not recommending this, but what I would do is I would call, you know, kind of experiencing some financial troubles right now. Is there any way you could waive the fee in the first year? And so a lot of these cards have the fee already waived for the first year, but if they don't, you can call and ask them politely that you really want to keep the card, you know, you're a great Chase customer, and 99% of the time they will do it. And if the person doesn't do it, call back and get a new person and they'll do it. So I just wanted to touch on that so nobody tells me in the comments, but Karen, you didn't talk about the $95. Yeah, I understand, but you're getting so much more value than the annual fee, which is why I continue to pay for all these cards, because it's giving me, you know, tens of thousands of dollars of value for $95 a year. So anyways, so let's talk about how to find a flight. If you don't have credit cards, you don't have points, how to find the cheapest flight. And so we're going to use this, let's use the same example, right? So let's say that we're going from San Francisco to Chicago, again, on January 24th, you know, it's the 9th right now. So what we see here is we see $187 best flights. We see, you know, 149, 157, 187, but generally around, you know, 187 here. And that's just if we type in, you know, San Francisco to Chicago on the regular kind of Google Flights interface. Never use the Google Flights interface, never use Expedia, never use Kayak. Those things are all complete trash. They don't give you the best deals. I'm about to show you the 3 websites that you have to check. These are the only 3 you ever have to check if you're not going to be using credit card miles. And so for international stuff, and Skyscanner is one of the best for international. For inside of the USA, it's not always the best, but if I'm going from, like, you know, Cambodia to Vietnam or something like that, I always check Skyscanner first. It gives me all of the international carriers better than anyone else and for the cheapest prices, organized in the best way. So Skyscanner I always use internationally. It's not always the best for the USA. So if we look at the same San Francisco to Chicago here, we see 127, 129, but these flights are significantly longer. So if you want to save money and have a longer flight, you can do 129 instead of the 187. Right? And so Skyscanner already saved us, you know, $50, $60 if you're okay with the longer flight time. If you want to go direct, you can still pay $164 instead of the $187 here. So, you know, it's immediately saving you money, getting the exact same thing. And so Skyscanner we use for international. The next one I want to talk about is probably my biggest go-to for everything that I do for flights. This is how I find the best paths. This is how I find the best carriers, the best airlines. This is how I find, you know, all of the hacks and all of the ways that I utilize, you know, points rewards. This is how I find the actual flights themselves. Pretty much every single piece of software out there or website out there or flight aggregator software or company out there utilizes what's called the ITA Matrix Airfare Search software by Google. And so Google bought this. This is what they power their main search results with, but they do it in a much faster way in the normal viewpoint, which is why you don't get the same prices, because this takes, you know, a couple seconds longer, but Google's all about speed, so they use a less sophisticated version. So what we're looking at here is the exact same thing, San Francisco to Chicago, Wednesday, January 24th. We see in Google 187. We see in the ITA matrix 112. We see 117 here. You know, we see 134 for a direct flight. And so you see, you know, an immediate savings of $50 or $60 or even 70 or more than 70 if you're okay with a longer flight time. You know, these durations are crazy actually, so we probably wouldn't want that. Or, oh, this duration is crazy, but this one's actually okay. If you're willing to pay 112 instead of, you know, 187, right? So you're saving $65 for, you know, a 3-hour longer flight. And so Google ITA Matrix is where I start all of my searches. It's the most beautifully intricate and sophisticated and thorough way to check the best flights to anywhere in the world. You know, all you have to do is do departing from, destination. You can see a lot of my recent searches. If you if you don't care about what date you travel, so let's say that I want to do let's say I want to go from San Francisco to Chicago just sometime in February. So I'm just going to go see calendar of lowest fares. So I'm not going to search exact dates. I'm in New Zealand right now, so I want to see it in USD. But if you were traveling from like Rio de Janeiro to Vietnam, you could still see the prices in USD. So it automatically translates all of the currencies into whatever you're most comfortable with. It's an amazing, amazing service, and it's completely free. So if we press search here, it takes a few seconds longer than Google because it's actually looking through every single piece of data literally available from all of these websites and aggregating it into one, you know, amazingly beautiful, intuitive kind of result. And so what we see here is that actually the cheapest day to travel on from February 14th on is February 14th. So, you know, we see it's a little bit more expensive here. So if we're not particularly, you know, worried about what specific date we travel, this is the best way to do it. And so that is the Google ITA software matrix. It is what you should go to first every time. Skyscanner International Google ITA matrix is basically the most thorough and what I pretty much always use kind of to start my flight search. The last thing I want to talk about is what's called Skiplagged. And so for those of you who haven't heard about Skiplagged, Skiplagged was the company made by a really smart guy who figured out that sometimes it was cheaper to actually get off at a connection. And what I mean by that, and so let's say that I wanted to fly from San Francisco to Chicago as my final destination. What he figured out was it's actually cheaper to fly from San Francisco to New York with your stopover in Chicago and then just get out at Chicago and don't take your final leg from Chicago to New York. And so United sued them because they really didn't like people doing this, but this company won, which is amazing. And so what we're gonna do is one way, San Francisco to Chicago, and we're gonna do January 24th again. And this is gonna show in New Zealand dollars because I'm in New Zealand right now, but we're gonna do the conversion for you guys. And so what we see here is 148 New Zealand dollars. And so if we do 148 is $105. So this is actually the cheapest flight we've seen total, right? So this is $106. We saw 112 for Google ITA. We saw 127 here, and then we saw 187 in just kind of the normal way that people search flights. So that is how you save money. That is how you find the cheapest flights, you know, anywhere in the world. Skiplagged is kind of the you know, sometimes you get lucky and find ridiculous flights. I always check Skiplagged because sometimes you just find these absolutely outrageous flights. And one thing that I should note is if you're going to use Skiplagged, you can't check luggage, or you can't always check luggage because, you know, sometimes your luggage flies from your origination to your destination. So Skiplagged really only works if you only have carry-on stuff that you just keep with you. So that's a good note. But that being said, the most absurd, ridiculous flights, even internationally, you know, all over the world that I've ever found in my life have been from Skiplagged, and I've been getting off at a connection rather than going to the final destination. And I don't know exactly why this is, but just trust me when I say it works, guys. So Skyscanner, Google ITA matrix, and Skiplagged, and forget about every other website in the world, guys. Because if you're utilizing these methods, if you're getting these premium credit cards, if you're spending all of your, you know, everyday money that you'd be spending anyway on those credit cards, if you link them to your phone bill, to your internet, if you link them to all of your advertising expenses, and you start to utilize these Chase Ultimate Rewards points and other point programs with United and Southwest, and then you synchronize them with these three amazing websites, I promise you that you are going to get the cheapest, best traveling options available anywhere, guys. And most importantly, you are going to travel the world like a ninja completely for free.